Shalom, shalom. We're about to get into it. You know? Got off the plantation and about to get the real work in, man. You know? About to get the real work going here. You know, but before I get started, give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Kapadash. And I'm just gonna get into it as usual, man. You know, fucking beating around the bush. And see, I got my back to the wall here. In case they got them boys on the rooftops. You know, they got them snipers now. I got my back to the wall. They can't get me from the back, you know. But let's get into it, man. It's Jeremiah 28:8. It says the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries. Yeah, so the prophets before me did the same thing I'm doing right now, man. Prophesied against many countries. You know, telling that kingdom is going down, about to go down. You know, lo and behold, look, it's still going on, man. We're still in captivity. It says, and against great kingdoms. Yeah, America's a great kingdom. Or put it like this, it used to be a great kingdom. You know, it's a shadow of its former self. But yeah, it still got a little power, man. So, you know, I'm here to say, hey, man, America's going down very soon. And once it go down, it ain't coming back. You know, this place is done for. You know, I don't give a fuck what Trump's saying about how, you know, he's saving all this money with the tariffs, which is a lie. You know, and he got all these great ideas, and you know, it's all bullshit, man. You know, the prophecies, this Bible is saying otherwise. You know, and we're coming into that time. You know, we're in the last days. The last days started over 2,000 years ago when Yahweh Shah died on that cross. But we're at the very end of it now, man. This sentence of ours is almost up. You know, we're not gonna be on the bottom much longer, man. About to go straight to the top. I'm talking about you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, who are the true biblical Israelites. We about to go straight to the top. We got next, and then we got next forever, man. There ain't gonna be no more, you know, having to work for a damn heathen, man. You know, they're gonna have to come to us for everything they need, man. Just like we in one in need of everything, we gotta come to the so-called white man, right? We gotta go to him for everything. But the table's about to flip. You gotta come to us real soon, man. We about to have everything, man. Everything wholesale. You know? It says against great kingdoms of war. Yeah, so we telling you that World War III is on the horizon, man. You know, they got a meeting next week with 800 generals and admirals, you know, suspecting it might be about Russia. You know, saying, hey, World War III is right up, right on the door, man. It's at the doorstep. And of evil and of pestilence. So yeah, man, we warning you about great evils that's getting ready to come, and the evils that's already been happening, man. But we talking about a time like none other that's coming, Jacob's trouble, where the worst nightmare is gonna be in 5K, 6K, you know, in live time, man. And we on the heels of that thing, man. All right, let's get into the lesson, man. You know that one was on my spirit earlier. So hey, you know all this shit's about to be done away with. Put it in layman's terms, you know. But to put it in a nutshell, man. And the Lord is stirring up the Russians, the Medes, to get this thing popping, man. You know, you got DJT Taco up there. You know, he looking like he might be the man that the Lord gonna use to get this shit finally wrapped up, man. One thing he did say was true is that the Lord chose him to do this job. And he damn right. He has surely been picked to carry out the Lord's will. And looks like he's doing a damn good job. You know, he did a complete 180 with Ukraine the other day. You know, so it is more war, man. More and more war. You know, so everybody sitting around with their thumbs up there, you know what? You know, you about to get drafted. You know, all you young, able-bodied people, men and women, you about to get drafted, man. Because they need bodies for this World War III. You know, they need bodies for the meat grinder, man. Men and women. You know, ain't no more that oh, I'm a woman, I can't go to war. Yeah, your ass gonna be hauled off to the desert, man. You know, they've already drawn up the law for it, man. You know, so it's gonna be a lot of widows, man, very soon, man. Get that Jeremiah 51. This is Jeremiah 51, verse 1. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon. So the Most High, he's gonna raise up against Babylon. And we're standing in Babylon right now, man. So this place is nothing but utterly confusion, man. Down is up is down, right is left, left is right. You go to one state, they got different laws from this state. You go to this town, that law, different from that. You know, just pure confusion, man. You got men wanting to be women, women wanting to be men. You know, you can just get up today and say, you know what, I want a penis installed, man. You know, it's just fucking confusion here, man. Or you can be a football player your whole life. You know, you 6'8", 6'7", 300 pounds, and then you just say, you know what, I want to be a woman. You know, I want me a vagina installed, man. You know, I want to wear short skirts and heels, and you know they'll get your ass on them hormones, and next thing you know, man, you got a slit between your legs, man. Yeah. Your damn dong in the trash can, man. It's in the landfill somewhere. You know, women ruling over you. You know, you got a damn woman boss on your damn back every day. Just pure confusion, man. And that's just naming a few. It says, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me. So the Lord said he's going to give y'all asses something for the people that rise up against him, man. You know, all my life I heard about this pushover God, you know, when I was in the church. You know, I heard about he's so loving, he's so caring, you know. He won't do nothing wrong, man. He won't kill a damn fly. But once you come into this truth, you start reading about how the Most High, he gets down with killing, man. You know, killing something. You know, he with it, man. You know, it said it pleased him to bruise his own son, man. He was pleased when his own son was on the cross, man, and he got beat and killed, man. So, what you think he gonna do to you, man? How you think he gonna feel about a nigga who ain't doing nothing for the Lord, man? It says, and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me, a destroying wind. So yeah, that destroying wind is that nuclear blast, man, that shockwave. You know, that fireball after the nuke detonates. That's that destroying wind. You know, you see in the movie shit start, windows start, busting out, shit blowing over. That's the destroying wind that it's talking about, man. From the thermonuclear ICBM missiles that's getting ready to hit this place, known as America, Babylon. Verse 2. It will send unto Babylon banner. Yeah, so the Lord will send angels banner, fan the flames, make the fire even hotter. Just like with the barbecue grill, man. You get a fan, a piece of cardboard, and you blow the coal, make them hotter. The Lord's gonna send angels to blow the flames from the detonation of the nukes, man. You make the shit hotter. It says, and shall empty her land. Yeah, it's gonna empty the whole USA, man. From east to west, north to south, man. And everything in between. It says, for in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about. Yeah, they're gonna be against this place round about, man. Because those nuclear ICBM missiles, the thermonuclear, might I add, are on the way. The U.S. just tested a thermonuclear nuke a few days ago, man. You think they testing this shit just to be testing it? You think they got nothing else better to do? No, they getting ready for war, man. They getting ready for war with Russia. And they got these nukes ready, lined up, ready to go. You know? And they're gonna turn you people into radioactive ash, man. It's gonna be a pile of ashes, you know? Uh, Verse 3, against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifted himself up and is bringing. Well, let's read that from the beginning. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. So the modern day bow would be the missile silo, man, that nuke sits in. That is the bow that it's talking about. It says, against him that lifted himself up in the brigandine, meaning his missile defense system. So your missile defense system is gonna fail, man. This whole Golden Dome being built, it can't stop Mach 8, Mach 28, man. Hypersonic missiles coming through, man. I think I read some a minute ago where it's talking about the glide vehicles. Re- they reach Mach 28. No system can stop that. Nothing on Earth. And Russia got the most advanced nukes on the planet, man. And you got little America barking up the most advanced nuclear power on the planet. And then you got what's his name, Medvedev, the ex-Russian president. He just made a threat today. Was it today? He was saying, "Hey, let us remind the U.S. that we got nukes, man. You know, let's remind you that we are nuclear power too." And the crazy part about the Russians, they not afraid to use their shit, man. You know, these ain't some regular white people here, man. These Russians on something totally different. You know, they like the thug. You know, they ready. They already said they ready to be martyrs, man. They don't give a damn if they live or die. You know, these some different Edomites. These Russians, they say they willing to burn it all down, man. And guess what? They gonna fucking do it too, man. They gonna fucking burn it all down. It says, and spare ye not her young men. So yeah, these missiles not gonna spare the young men or women. I forget what chapter it's in, but it's talk about how when they finally set these missiles off, they're not gonna care about the pregnant women, you know, the children, nothing. They don't give a damn how much charity work you done, or if you know, you done something to them or not, man, or you involved or not. They gonna push the button. Matter of fact, I saw Putin like a week or two ago on a news article. He's sitting in front of the nuclear controls, man, just looking at them. You know, and you know they put in the little caption. They like, is he gonna set the code, put the code in to shoot the nukes off? It was like a week or two ago. So they getting you acclimated to let you know Putin getting ready to push that button, man. He getting ready to tell his men to give them they're gonna set everything up. He gonna go to the remote launcher, whatever the case may be, and he gonna put that code in. Doop, 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 doop. And hey, and that's your ass, man. That's your motherfucking ass. Yeah. So we coming into some very, very, very serious times, man. You know, they had. I mean, you can go look for yourself. Don't take my word for it. They had Putin sitting in front of the nuclear controls, man, looking at them like, I should push this shit. I should go ahead and get it started. You know, so they let you know Putin got them launch codes, man. He ready to shoot them nukes off. And everybody in the midst of Babylon, America, you know, you invited to the barbecue, man. Everybody's invited to this barbecue that's coming. You know, you don't need an invitation. Just show up. You know. So hey, like they say, it's up there. It says, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hope. So the spirit of woman is this war's gonna go nuclear, man. It's gonna start off as a ground war, but eventually it's gonna go nuclear, thermonuclear. If you live in the U.S., you ain't gonna make it out alive. You're not gonna make it out alive because hey, NATO wants a war with Russia, and NATO gonna get what they want. You know, you see Trump did the 180 and said, okay, yeah, we're gonna continue to supply the weapons to NATO because the beast and the whore go hand in hand, man. You know, NATO being the beast and the U.S. being the whore, mentioned in Revelation, man. You know, but the beast is gonna hate the whore, so the U.S. is gonna do something that NATO and the EU don't like, and they gonna shoot nukes on this place too, man. You know, I don't know all the details. Scripture say I know in part, but we prophesy in part, man. I don't know every detail, but I know what's gonna happen though, man. The meat and potatoes of it, you know. So you're gonna have NATO and the EU, Russia, Iran, North Korea, China, you know, South Africa, you know, and other parts of the countries in Africa, man. That's on the Russian side, man. They got nukes, you know, Pakistan. They gonna shoot all they nukes, man, on this place, man. And Israel too, man. They not gonna get away either, man. It says, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host. It says, this the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, you know, which is another name for America, or you Americans. And they that are thrust through in her streets, yeah, you're gonna be dead in the streets, man. There's gonna be nothing left for you, man. Once you get that warning, you know that nukes will be here. If they even give you a warning, you know the U.S. government's so dirty, they might even warn you. You know, you're gonna be out in the backyard just grilling, you know, playing catch with the dog, and then you're just gonna see the sun go black. You're gonna look up, and the sun's gonna be blacking out with missiles, man. And then by then it's too late, man. You can't run and go hide under the kitchen table. You know, you can't go to your fallout shelter, your underground bunker. No use, man. You know, you're just gonna look up and the sky's just gonna fucking litter with nukes, man. You know, like I say, hey man, better you than me, man. You can't think about just fucking looking up and just seeing the fucking sky littered with nukes. That's how many's gonna get shot off. Verse 5, for Israel have not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, but Yahweh of hosts though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Yeah, every commandment is being broken here, man. You can break any kind of commandment in the Bible, man, and you won't get nothing done to you, man. Nothing. You know, they used to have a law in the book back in the day. Some states about sodomy, no sodomy, but they don't uphold it. You know. Now you can break all the laws in the scriptures. You know. And you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man, y'all all for it, man. So, all this stuff being built on a Christian nation, you know, and it does the complete opposite, man. But if you break something with the Constitution or some local law, state law, they want to throw your ass in jail, you know, depending on who you are. You know, if you got a little money, and hey, you might not go to jail, you know, or you might not do that much time. Depends on how connected, how deep your pockets are. But as far as the law, the commandments, anything goes. Anything goes. You know? Verse 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon. So yeah, it's saying to flee out of this place. But for the man of the Lord, the elect, it's talking about flee out of here mentally, man. You know? You can't leave now. It's about to get good. You know, it's about to get real good. You know, the Lord's got to put you through the fire, man. So there's no rapture. He's gonna take you out of harm's way, like these idiots talking about, man. You know, these dumbass Christians talking about rapture. You still here, man. You still got work, you know? But as far as the elect, you got to get tried through the fire, man. So you can't just up and leave, you know? You could, but where's your faith in that, man? You know, I'm gonna ride it out here, man. You know, my wife trying to get me to move to a different country, you know, just cause she want to retire somewhere else. But I'm like, I gotta stick it out here, man. I gotta ride it all the way down. I gotta go down with the ship, you know. You know. You know, I might go for like a week somewhere, but that's about it. As far as living in a different country, hey, if the spirit had me do that, then I'll do it. But as of right now, telling me to stay right here, ride it out. It says, and deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her recompense. So yeah, that's gonna be the Lord's judgment on this place, man. You know, and the blessed, the best cleansing agent is fire. You know, the first death was with water, and the second death is gonna be with fire, man. So this, so we're fastly approaching the second death. And believe me, man, Man, I wonder if they're gonna declare they getting ready to go to war with Russia next week, man. You know, that's something calling up 800 generals and admirals. Hey, it's got to be something serious, man. You know, they always talk. They were saying how Russia is violating was it Norway and Poland airspace with them drones. So hey, look like the buildup is coming, man. Hey, I just pray the Lord make them declare. You know, let's get this thing going. You know, let's get this fucking shit going. Verse 7: Babylon have been a golden cup in Yahweh's hand. So yeah, America was on the the top shelf, man. It was the top mountain. It was a golden cup. It says that made all the earth drunken because everybody they wanted to get the riches of America. They had to take on America ways, man. They had to play ball, you know. Feminism, transgenderism, democracy, women rights, things of that sort. And the alphabet, model, you know what I'm talking about, right? So if you want the money of America, you want to trade and do business with America, you gotta take on America ways. It says that made all the earth drunken. Yeah, they drunk the wine of America, man. It says the nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Yeah, they finally realized they fucked up, man. They women all in their face, cussing them out now. You know, they little boys wearing dresses. You know, they little girls is out here fucking hands hanging out their ass, singing, flagging. You know, so all these other nations have taken on the customs of America, and they realize they've been duped, man. They got they white, got the boy. Or they daughter got them a OnlyFans, or she a porno queen, a porn queen, bragging about she slept with 12, 1,300 guys, man. You know, so the nations are upset. With verse 8, so nations they're not gonna be upset, man. If they got nuclear missiles to push the button. They're like, you know what? You're right. They screwed us over. My wife didn't left me. You know, my daughter's a man now. You know, my son's a woman. You know, my dog gay. You know, he was like, fuck it, let's just push the button. We should have never drunk the wine of America. It's so bad they pushing the dogs to be gay, man. I saw some article like 6, 7 months ago, maybe. They talking about they dog gay, man. And you don't think this place got to go, man? This shit can't go on much longer, man. Hell, who is it? Alex Jones already said the frog's gay. You know? So now the frogs wasn't enough. Now they want the dogs, man. And this place got to go, man. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country. Oh, hold on. I mixed that up. So let's go to verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Yeah, after the nukes detonate, this place is gonna be nothing but rubble, man. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. Yeah, the balm is talking about like kiwi, you know, uh, stimulus packages, things of that sort, infrastructure projects. Nothing could revive this place, man. Nothing. Nothing's gonna be able to pump life back into this place. Verse 9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. Yeah, because people are gonna go into their own countries, man. They're not gonna be with that old we are the world spirit, man. They're gonna see how bad shit is and they're gonna say, we going back to our homeland, man. They ain't gonna need Trump to deport them in. Everybody gonna be trying to get the hell out of here. You know? They're gonna see how America is falling and they're gonna be like, hey, wherever I am, I'm trying to go back to my homeland. This for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Yeah, you're gonna see the judgment of this place, man. Well, not you people in the US, but on the eastern side of the world. You're gonna see the judgment of this place. You know? You're gonna see it on some news channel. And you're gonna see it engulfed in flames, man. You know? You ain't gonna be able to turn into Fox or CNN to see this. If you live here, you're gonna have to watch it on, you're in a different country. You got to watch it on your news channel, man. Because there's gonna be nothing left here, man. Verse 10, Yahweh have brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of Yahweh, our power. 11, make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes. And we're talking about, you know, he's one of the kings of the Medes, man. You know? It says make bright the arrows. What he's talking about, make bright the arrows. When you see that missile going up and that propulsion coming out from the bottom, the propulsion system, the exhaust, that flame coming out, that's talking about making bright the arrows, man. Jeremiah is only talking, describing the words that he had, the vocabulary he had back then. You know? And he saw these missiles in a vision. And he said it was bright, man. And if you go and look at a intercontinental missile test at night, you'll see what the hell he's talking about. You know? you'll see how bright it is. We just start going into the atmosphere. When it takes off, got that real blast. And then when it gets up, and you see that flame, this is what Jeremiah saw, man. It says, the spirit of the kings of the Medes, hey, the Lord is raising them up, man. You already got Putin sitting at the missile launcher, the nuke launcher. Like you want to put the code in. You got Medvedev constantly threatening about using nukes. So the king of the Medes, the spirit of the kings of the Medes are stirred up, man. And they say they got hardliners in Russia that's worse than Putin, man. They say Putin is like a pushover compared to these guys. They ready for the nukes to be shot off right now. But Putin is, being the politician. And they say they got some guys, like if you ever seen those Russian like talk shows, it's something like Fox, but it's on steroids though. It's like they talking real military type shit on them shows, man. And on one of the shows that I remember, the guy was like, "Man, let's just shoot the nukes, man. The hell with all this talking and going back and forth, tit for tat." He said, man, put it, in so many words, man. He's like, just shoot the nukes, man. Fuck it. You know? So it's the guys behind the curtain of Putin that you need to be worried about, man. His advisors, his counselors, things of that sort. The guys who actually run Russia. They saying, hey, man, let's just get this thing popping. He like the hell with the U.S. We didn't try to be, diplomatic with them. We tried to work with them, tried to work out peace deals, and they like, just screw all that, man. Let's just nuke them. And lo and behold, we fastly approaching that day, man. Fastly approaching. So the nuke talk is back in the air. So yeah, today, hey, just ride around and enjoy yourself, man. Got the tops out. Just enjoy yourself while you can. Live it up, man. Soon you're gonna be like a pile of ashes soon, man. All because you so-called Negro, Latinos, or Native Americans, man, the 2/3 refuse to turn back to your power. If you even make it that far. And to see the nukes, that's like the last stage, man. That's like the final boss stage. you know? If you even make it that far. Because believe me, a lot of people are not gonna be able to won't even make it to the missiles. It says for his devices against Babylon, and his device is that thermonuclear missile. So the U.S. is posturing, so they had to respond, trying to let Russia know, hey, we got thermonuclear missiles too, man. So they did a test a couple of days ago in the Caribbean. saying, "Hey, we got nukes too, man. Thermal nukes, you know." So, hey, man, you got these hotheads, man. In charge, and hey, it is what it is. You know? It is what it is. To destroy it, so the Lord's gonna use the Russians to destroy this place, man. You know, he's gonna use the Russians, who are one of the big parts of prophecy, man. They're a major player in prophecy. You know, he's gonna use them to do his will, man. You know, all right. And we're fastly approaching that day, man. It says, was devised against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, or Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. So yeah, it's the Lord's vengeance, man. You know, America put his hands on the Lord's people, man. So it's his vengeance only to pay recompense, man. You know, he talks about that in Joel. Like, how you gonna pay the Lord back, man? You took his gold and his silver. You know, how can you pay him back? You can't. So what he gonna do is just kill you, man. What can you give the Most High that he already don't have, man? You know, so he just, hey, I'm just gonna fucking nuke you, man. You know, he's gonna take his anger out on his face. And ain't nothing can be done to stop it. Ain't no peace treaty. As well, set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. And yeah, Most High set up the standard, man, by giving his men, the prophets, his Bible, man, to set up the standard. So this is the only true standard in the earth, man. These scriptures. Make the watch strong, set up the watchman. Yeah, he set up the watchman. And here we are, you know, like-minded men like myself, same spirit, with the 100% truth, watching and telling our people that you about to get barbecued, man. You know, you about to become a pile of ashes, man. You know, if you don't turn back to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, so-called Negro Latinos and Native Americans, man. We telling you, you know, we see what's coming. But we the only ones that's truly awake, man. You know, we the only ones that's truly awake. You know, we got the whole picture, man. The entire picture. You know? It says prepare the ambushes, for Yahweh hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. So yeah, man, the Lord has given us the full picture, man. He gave us the whole road, the Old and the New Testament. You know, everybody talking about, oh, my pineal gland is open. No, it ain't truly open. You may have got something off of it, you know, because I could have sworn I was fully awake, you know, before I got into this truth. I could have sworn I was fully awake, but I was still asleep, man. I only had one eye open. But once the Lord brings you into this truth, you get the full understanding, man. You get the whole complete picture, you know. You know who the true puppet master is. You know how the strings are being pulled. You know how the prophecy is being pulled. So somebody can't just run something on you. Can't run the okey doke on you. You know. I remember that one Jake when I was in South Carolina, man. When I was working up there, he was like, it had to be the Lord put a spirit on him. I think he was a Jamaican, so-called Jamaican. We was at work. He came up to me on the computer and shit. So we was like talking. He was like, "Are you awake?" Like what? I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm awake. I know what's going on." I'm like, "What do you mean? This, that, and the third." I was real upset because I was offended by it. I'm like, "What you mean?" I know about the New World Order and I know about the Rothschilds, the bankers, and all this kind of. Then he like, "Well, are you really awoke?" I'm like, "Huh?" And he had this like this smile on his face. You know, I still think about that to this day. I'm like, the Lord had to put a spirit on him to really get to me, man. To make me think, you know. And then fast forward, you know, maybe 2, 3 years after that, you start getting into all this weird shit, Egyptology, you know, you get into that garbage, then you just start reading all these fucking weird ass books, steady searching for something, and then once you realize that Egyptology is nothing but bullshit, you're like, well, damn, what is there? Because it didn't make sense after a while, you know. And the Lord just gave me a spirit to question shit and really think about stuff. I'm like, this Egyptology ain't making sense, man. Yeah, it sounds good, it feels good, but once you start asking some common sense questions, once the high wears off, you're like, this ain't it. So then, lo and behold, the spirit had me move on to something else, man. I remember like it was yesterday. I was like, you know what? I'm just tired of this. I'm just reading endless books. You know, every time you read this one book, somebody, oh, have you read this book? You read that book, oh, you read this book. You read another one. You're like, man, fuck all these books, man. They ain't getting me nowhere. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna serve the Lord. I was like, it's much simpler to do that. And then boom, then, then I run into you can call them brothers. They still brothers at the end of the day. You know, they just, you know, they just playing their part in this movie, man. They ain't got the 100% truth, but they still brothers at the end of the day. I run into them and I'm like, yeah, I found them on YouTube, where the spirit had me find them on YouTube. And I was like, this is it. I'm like, this got to be it. you know? And sure enough, then you start listening to them, and you listen to another Hebrew Israelite camp, but as you listening to it, you're like, that don't sound right, you know? Even though I didn't know nothing about the scriptures like that. But they would break some scriptures down, and he's like, I don't know about that. That don't sound right. After about 2 or 3 of those, boom, you run into, GMS, man. Ran into the brothers from San Fran camp on World Stuff. And then that was it after that, man. I was sold after that, you know. Then you listen to those videos, stay up all night, 3, 4 in the morning, just listening to the videos, reading the scriptures. You get through that entertainment phase. You go through that for a while, you entertain, you're learning, but you entertain though at the same time, they cussing people out on the so-called white man face, cussing them out, cussing the heathens out, cussing our people out. You're like, all right, yeah, that's what's up. Then the business come up. It's like, what you gonna do now? You know, you gonna do the work, or you gonna just sit here and listen, man? You gonna get a chance, you know? So the spirit started working on me, telling me I need to come out.
I started smiling before that boy even yet. Nigga said, "Yup, don't worry about it,
So,
man."
that jumped on you. And then the one video, it was one brother. He ain't no brother. He just doing his own thing, man. But he a brother at the end of the day. I take that, man. you know, I'll never forget, man. He made that one video. He was like, yeah, you sitting there listening to this video, this and that and the third. The Lord gonna kill your ass if you don't get out and start doing the work. I said, well, you talking to me, man. You gotta be talking to me. And then long story short, man, 8 years later, I ain't look back, man. So that's why the scriptures say, man, you gotta serve the Lord with fear and trembling, man. It was fear that got me out here. It ain't because I wanted to do this. I heard the fear. Hey, the Lord's gonna kill your ass. And at that time, I was in a fucked up situation. So that hit home, you know. My health was real bad then. So I was like, oh shit. Man, I remember I could barely walk. And I made it out to the block, man. On Canal Street out there. you know? Couldn't even stand up hardly. I was leaning up against the pole, man. I could stand up about an hour or two. But camp would go for like 2, 3 hours. I just hold the pole up, man. And until I got stronger, man. So hey, that's all I need to hear, man. And at that moment when he made that video, I knew the Lord wasn't playing, man. He was talking directly to me, like how they be in church. And they say, why does like the pastor talking to me? Well, this brother was talking to me that day. And like they said, it would behoove you to start doing the work. You know, so long story short, man, I'm doing the work, and I ain't took my hand off the plow yet, man. You know, Lord willing, I don't. Shit, I'm at an hour already. You know, so hey, man, the Lord will bring you from a long way, man. You know, like I said, I was fucked up. Health was fucked up. Pockets was fucked up. You know, but hey, the scripture say, hey, seek the kingdom of heaven first. Everything else gonna be added to you, man. You know, and hey, shit's good. All I can say, it's good, man. You can take that check to the bank that the Lord got wrote for you, man. You can take that to the bank. That check gonna cash. Verse 13. O thou that dwellest upon many waters, waters meaning people, abundant in treasures, thine end is come. So yeah, the end has come. The economy is in shambles, you know, record layoffs, businesses closing, dollars losing its value every time you fucking look around. It's talking about it hit an all-time low. So the dollar's about dead, you know. And something else I was about to say. Oh yeah, it's what, $37.5 trillion in debt, and that can't be paid back, man. You know, you can't pay back $37 trillion, man. You know. So the economy is dead. This place is through, man. This place is circling the drain. You know, this place is circling the drain, man. But they do got a solution for you, though, man. A digital dollar, man. You know, because they got to crash this economy to bring in a new system. Everything digital. You're gonna be digital. Like you're gonna be a Digify. What they call that shit? A Digimon, yeah. You're a fucking Digimon. You know, and then eventually you're gonna be RFID microchip, man. Like a dog, man. You're gonna be tagged like an animal, man. You know, you're gonna be tracked, surveilled at all times, man. They're gonna know exactly where you are in real time with your microchip. Which Elon Musk said you can see cell phones going away and people with brain chips, man. You know? So he's all for putting a chip in you, man. Which ultimately is the banker's idea. But Elon's is just a useful idiot. You gotta play ball. You wanna make all this money, and you gotta play ball, man. It's just that simple. You know, so you're gonna be microchipped, and if you don't want to be microchipped, they're just gonna kill you, man. They're gonna cut your head off and throw your ass in a pile, man. So all this is on the heels of this World War III, man. All this is tied together. World War III, Mark of the Beast, Jacob's Trouble, the economy collapsing, race war, civil war. You might as well say, man, we're already in a civil war already, man. We're in a soft civil war right now, and a soft martial law. We got troops on the street. We got the left and the right going at it. You know, the left is having a field day with the right. You know, Charlie Jerk. You can't say his last name. You know. Hey man, it's the left and the right. There's a civil war going on right now, man. You know, you got news stations being shot at. Who is it? Rand Paul or Scalise that got shot. So this war has been going on, but it's starting to boil over now, man. You know, it's about to get real good. You know, they took out a big talking conservative, CK. So it's gonna be you know, this civil war is gonna heat up, man. And like the scriptures say, man, everybody gonna fight against their neighbor, man. People gonna be at each other's neck. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. You know, I'm an independent. Independents just gonna get slaughtered, man. Cause ain't many independents out here. You know, between Republicans and Democrats, y'all gonna be fighting to the death out here. It's gonna be straight shootouts. You know, you gonna hate your neighbor, man. You know, your neighbor's gonna come out as a MAGA, man. Like, oh, I've been hiding it. You know, 'cause I didn't want you to get upset. And then you just gonna take that 357, blow his fucking brains out, man. That's how bad it's gonna get out here. You know? So the Civil War has already started. And like I said, man, martial law already started. You know, the troops supposedly on their way here to New Orleans, man. You know, on the way to Memphis. You know, you had the Marines in LA. Hey man, they getting ready to lock this place down, man. When I say they, I'm talking about the bankers. Look past Trump. Trump is just a mascot of America, man. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, they getting ready to lock this place known as America down, man. And they ready for their property, you Americans. You know? They ready to cash in on their property. It says, abundant in treasures, thy hand is come, at the measure of thy covetousness. Verse 14, Yahweh of hosts or armies have sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee. So the Most High is gonna fill this place, which is already filled up with people. It's just more people for the fire, man. More people for the slaughter. Verse 15, he hath made the earth by his power. He have established the world by his wisdom, and have stretched out the heaven by his understanding. Yeah, and we have that understanding, man. All through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know, he's given us the full understanding of these scriptures on how the world works and how you people work, man. How to deal with people. You know how to analyze people you talking to, man. You know, human behavior, man. You know, so he puts that type of spirit on you, man. And you like some damn supercomputer, man. You like a spiritual supercomputer. You know, you can tell when somebody bullshitting you. You know, and straight up blind. You know what things to look for. And the spirit, hey, if you miss all that, the spirit is gonna guide you in the right place, man. It's gonna have you the proper way to deal with that person, man. And you know when you being fucked over, man. You know? So that's why these scriptures saying to get wisdom and understanding is more valuable than gold, man. You know? To get this wisdom and this understanding is more valuable than gold or rubies. Verse 16, when he uttered his voice, there's a multitude of waters in the heavens, and he causes the vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. So yeah, the vapors are gonna be after the nukes detonate, man. You know, from all the steam, the smoke, the fire. You know, because these missiles, it's gonna dry up the rivers, the streams, you know, and whatever body of water, man. It's gonna dry it all up. The ponds. You know, the Bible speaks about how there's gonna be one big desert, man. He says he make it lightning with rain, and that's talking about the missiles coming down, man. You know, once those warheads separate from that missile, adios, amigos. You know, it's adios. River Dirche, whatever you want to call it. Verse 17. I might end it off on verse 18, man. I'm at a minute and 14. Not a minute and 14, hour 14. It says every man is brutish by his knowledge. Yeah, because dealing with those idols, you know, Buddha, Jesus, Allah, and the list goes on, man. And nothing but idols. Every founder is confounded by the graven image, for his molten image is his falsehood. There is no breath in them. Yeah, there's no breath in these idols, man. You got to take the idol, you got to make it, you got to build it, You gotta clean it, polish it up. The idol can't do nothing on its own, man. It needs you for everything. So it's useless. It says, verse 18, they are vanity, the work of errors. Yeah, they are vanity, work of errors, man. And you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, especially the Northern Kingdom, you know, they got the statue of Mary and everything else at the house, man. They got Jesus all over the fucking living room, man. It says, in the time of their visitation, they shall perish, because all the idols are going to be abolished. And this earthquake, the entire earth is going to quake. And all the idols are going to be abolished. And you're going to know it's one true power, one true and only one power. That's the power in the Bible. It says 19. Let's end it up on 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. So yeah, the Most High is not like these dumb idols. Our power is a living, breathing power, man. You know, and he's not afar off to where he can't take care of business, man. The scriptures say, the Most High asks, is anything too hard for me? You know, it really goes, is anything too hard for thee, I believe. Or I might have it mixed up, you know, whatever the case may be. But the Most High is asking, is anything too hard for him, man? And the answer is no. Nothing's too hard for him. It says, and Israel is the rod of his inheritance. Yeah, so we're the inheritance of the power in the whole planet, man, the universe. You know, through his son, Yahweh Shah, man. We are going to inherit the same thing his son is going to get, man. You know? Now, ain't that a hell of a deal, man? You know, when you 2/3 come back reincarnated, you know, you're going to enjoy the inheritance, you know? And for the ones who get in line after the nukes, you know, you're going to enjoy the inheritance. But for the ones here in America, we're going to see you on the other side, man. We're going to see you in the kingdom, you know? We're going to see you in the kingdom. It says Yahweh host is his name. And his name is Yahweh, man. And he's not like these dumb idols, man. You know? He's a living, breathing power that's alive. With his son on his right hand. Sitting on the throne too, man. You know? You know? Them idols over there in India, man. They got so many idols over there, they throw them in the river, man. That's how they treat their gods. They just dump them in that filthy ass river over there. You know? You know, we're gonna straighten all that out once we get in the rulership. We're gonna have them clean all that shit up, man. They're gonna have to clean all of India up. We need to put that like in the top 5 things to do, man. They gotta get that shit straight. You know? You know, after the bodies get, you know, the graves get dug, bodies get put away. And everybody get, do what we need to do. Start laying down the law. Start cleaning up the earth, man. Them damn Elamites, man, they gotta get their ass over there and clean that damn river up. They out their damn minds, man. You know? But hey, I'm gonna end it off on that, man. I'm gonna end it off on that. Before I get out of here, man, I'm gonna give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Kafadah, Shalom.